morning. Welcome to MadPow's 5th Annual Financial Experience Design Conference. My name's Ethan Drigotas. I'm a Business Development Director here at MadPow and happy to be hosting FXD. Whether this is your first FXD conference or you've been joining us since the beginning, we're thrilled to have you here and are so excited to bring this community together. Today's going to be about design, finance, and how we as leaders in the space can help bring about positive change and improved experiences. Once again, obviously, we find ourselves virtual this year. I think we all wish we could be together in Boston like in years past, but if you were able to join us yesterday for the Futures Thinking workshop with Martin and Liz, I hope you got a sense of the collaboration and community we can still build in this environment. For me, this is my first conference on this side of the virtual podium. And when I was asked if I'd be willing to take on some of these responsibilities and chair this event, I was excited. And I was excited because I genuinely think this event is so important. Finance is an inescapable force in today's society. It's everywhere, both as a force for good and a force for not so good. Unfortunately, sometimes it feels like the not so good weighs the most. And to validate that, I did what most of us would do, and I apologize to MadPow's stellar research team on this one. I Googled it. What stresses people out the most? And the answer, turns out, is money. And that's not entirely surprising. We live in and with an incredibly complex financial system. I have the opportunity to talk with people in this industry every day, and it's a constant source of frustration for them. And change can be slow to come by, especially when you don't know where to look and the rules are constantly changing. And of course, adding to that and making it even more complicated is that the system is only half the story. There are a lot of factors at play: environmental, organizational, social, individual, demographic. All these factors can influence financial well-being. At MadPow, we've investigated these deeply, and we call them the social determinants of finance. And it's this holistic view that shows us that objective financial indicators, they're not always enough. Personally, I think creating a household budget is a great step toward reducing that financial stress that Google told us about, but those tools aren't all-encompassing. When we look at financial well-being holistically, we also have to take into account the root causes, those social determinants, not just the symptoms we see in the form of retirement savings or credit scores. And this is the exact work we do at MadPow. We're a design consultancy focused on designing for change in the finance space and helping financial institutions better serve their customers through thoughtful innovation. We see these social determinants reinforced every day in our work. One example that comes to mind is our partnership with the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. And our goal with the CFPB was to safeguard U.S. armed forces from financial harm and improve their financial well-being. And we didn't do that by handing them budgeting worksheets and best practices. We did that by understanding where they were coming from, the common determinants that led them there, and then designing a solution for them. In this case, we met them online with a game, and it reflected the complex real-world financial situations that they might face. And that's the sort of process, and these are the sort of solutions that get me so excited about today. The bottom line is, we're in control, and the people in this virtual room can create change. Purposeful design can make the experiences people have accessing, using, earning, and giving their money a whole lot better. And that's what today in this conference is all about. Connecting leaders and decision makers around meaningful design and experience topics to drive discussion, thought, and inspiration. So today you'll hear from leaders in the space who are seeing an evolution in experience design, working to scale their teams in smart ways, and building products and services that aren't just useful and usable, but impactful and meaningful too. The goal for FXD is for each of you to take something away and be able to go back to your teams and your organizations with quick hit tips, ideas, best practices to improve your experience design, but also leave with some big future focused thoughts about what it means to design experiences in finance and how you can pioneer positive change for yourself, your team, and of course, your customers. So I want to start today with one of those big future focused thoughts. But in order to get there, we're going to have to look a little bit into the past. In 2015, Robinhood, the app-based stock brokerage, became the first finance app to win an Apple Design Award. As many of you know, that's a prestigious award for apps that raise the bar in design, tech, and innovation. In 2016, Robinhood won a Google Play Award for excellence in design. And in 2017, the awards kept coming. Fast Company placed Robinhood on its most innovative companies list, touting that intuitive design. As these awards recognize, there's no doubt that Robinhood's interface is slick. The screens are beautiful. The words we talk about in financial experience design, seamless, intuitive, personalized, they all come to mind. But as much as the what of design is important, we want to make these seamless experiences, those beautiful screens and end-to-end excellence. It's the why of design where things truly start and sometimes where they end too. Flash forward to this year, 2021. It's a story you all know. The Robinhood app is still doing well. The company IPO'd earlier this year, but the public perception has changed. And there are a few reasons for that shift in perception, but once that why of design became clear, the what of design didn't seem to matter so much. Robinhood's design is good. Heck, Robinhood's design is great. But user experiences and experience design are becoming more than just what you put in front of the customer or client. As Robinhood learned, it's now about why you put it in front of them. And this idea of why in design certainly isn't new, but it's never been under the intense spotlight it is now. And customers have never pushed back on the why in the same way that they are now, especially in finance. On a recent episode of MadPow's Better Experiences podcast, our Chief Experience Officer, Amy Haymans, talked with Richard Bynum. He's the Chief Corporate Responsibility Officer for PNC. And I think Richard summarized this shift in pushback on why in a really interesting and eloquent way during that conversation. So Richard says, there's been a clear and demonstrated change in the makeup and the priorities of the groups we tend to focus on. Not only have their priorities changed, but I think their expectations of institutions like government, like business, like private sector have shifted. And Richard continues, and he explains that people who make up these groups, they're now asking a fundamental question. Are we moving forward together? Think about that for a second. Are we moving forward together? Today, and most likely tomorrow, customers don't just want to be served by financial organizations that are looking out for them. They want to have a relationship with those institutions and work with them to build the future of finance. They want to have a say. So to me, as a designer, that question, are we moving forward together? It does one of two things. I'm either really excited because I'm building a human-centric experience based on a why that was driven by customer need, or I'm really worried because I'm working on a product or experience that doesn't have a why, or it's a why that isn't aligned with our customers. And I'm thinking about ways to change that, change it quickly. As designers, we're in a really unique position of responsibility within our financial organizations and really the overall system. In many cases, we're at the intersection of research, customer experience, product development, and yes, revenue generation and growth too. So who better to lead the vision and action of your teams, departments, firms, and even industries? Why? Just this past year, one of the top 5 banks in the country started asking MadPow these types of questions. How could they move forward together with their customers and employees? So we're working with them to find the answers, workshopping with stakeholders to mesh business goals with purposeful goals, creating an omni-channel customer experience strategy that serves client needs better, and bringing a more inclusive lens to the design process. At MadPow, we're really fortunate to lead this work directly with our clients and get a front row seat to the ideas and innovations our partners are working through. Whether it's in banking, insurance, wealth management, a lot of us are thinking about AI, automation, things like that, and how the human touch fits in with everything. I think we all love the idea of it, and why wouldn't we? Cost savings and robo-advisors sound awesome, but how can we make sure that those are the whys that matter to our customers? Other organizations are wrestling with how to design products and services for high net worth individuals, but also working to build for those who are just getting introduced to financial systems. How do we make sure that our whys work for both? And how do we make sure that we're all moving forward together? Those are the kind of questions we're working to answer. And I'm excited that we're starting to think about these things holistically. Not only bringing design to the table, but bringing the customer to the table as well. Of course, it's not just about the why our clients learn about and are attracted to. It's about the why for our employees. And that's more apparent now than ever. The past 18 months have led a lot of people to rethink what work means to them, their values, and their own why too. According to the US Department of Labor, 11.5 million workers quit their jobs last April, May, and June. And right now, almost half of all employees are actively searching for new opportunities. As people leaders, retaining talent and developing fantastic employee experiences has never been more important. Designers, strategists, any employee, they're more likely to stay and contribute at a high level if they know why they're designing. You'll hear a bit more about that from our speakers on design leadership today. Speaking of speakers, we have a fantastic lineup of presenters today, and they're joining us from all over the world to talk about a wide range of topics. We're going to start the day talking about fostering empathy, why that's so important, and some of its practical applications. Then we'll focus on building and maintaining design culture. How do we develop resilient design organizations, drive change, and continue to push for design considerations at the highest levels, all while promoting that great employee experience? And lastly, we'll finish the program hearing about scaling design. Our speakers will talk about the micro and macro design through topics like design systems, service design, and UX quality. It's going to be an awesome day and a packed agenda. And while we are glad we get to span time zones today and hear from some incredible designers, we do realize the challenges of a remote conference. You've got email, kids, pets. For me, I can see the leaves falling outside that need to be raked. But we do encourage you to stay tuned in as much as you can. We'll have some built-in breaks throughout the day, a few networking periods, and a cocktail hour after the program ends. We really hope you take advantage of both and get to know some of the awesome attendees and speakers we have here today. There's also a chat function through the event platform. As you'll see, there's a box with 3 tabs to the side. Use the Q&A tab to ask our speakers questions. We'll get to those after each presentation. That Ideas tab, that will be the public chat platform to interact with all attendees, almost like a message board. And we'll be using the Polls tab to post some questions throughout the day. Answer them if you can. And if you do want to connect with a specific person, a fellow attendee, you can chat with them privately by clicking on the tab towards the bottom right of your screen and searching for their name. You can also edit your profile in the upper right if you need to make changes there. So with that, the last word for me before we get to our speakers will be thank you. On behalf of MadPow, we appreciate you being here today, sharing your thoughts, and helping to drive this industry forward. Enjoy the day, and thanks.